and we inherently know that we're different. The challenges are, what does that mean for how we need to live our life, and what should we be doing with our time and energy? So what I want people to take away from this is that, understanding that we now have the ability to provide a roadmap for you that can help you work to your best potential without having things that go wrong. Generally, people will have a whole lot of challenges in their life, and that comes down to each individual person. And hopefully you can take away some really cool information from this about what it means and start implementing some stuff. But there are a few caveats to that. To get your profile done, you actually need to have your profile done. So we can't just talk in generic terms, but there should be enough in content here to have some really good takeaways. So at the end is where I'll go into details about what the program is, but this is just going to be purely information, providing a whole lot of really cool content, and hopefully from there you can take some stuff away and actually apply it at a practical level. So I've got a presentation I will jump over to and share. Share screen, that's the one I want. And I will go, hopefully, full size. Now, everyone's seeing that full size, is that right? Thumbs up. Yep, excellent stuff. So the new brand that's being launched right at the moment is Boss Level. So top left is the new logo. It's a complete deviation from my original roots as a personal trainer. And epigenetics is the science which it's all based around. So what we want to know and what we're trying to do is use epigenetics to achieve optimal performance and operate at 100%. So first of all, who am I? I am Ross the Boss. Who is Ross the Boss? I am the Chief Optimal Performance Coach at Boss Level. Here are some of the things that make up my life. I got two very cheeky little kids, as you can tell from the photo there. I love new adventures. That was tree house glamping. This was my partner Ange there. My favorite place in the world is Rings Beach in the Coromandel. The kids have photobombed that shot as well. I love snowboarding. I've always loved my cars, very much a car person. Here's a shot of the studio, helping some people in my previous capacity as a trainer, and a lovely shot with me and Lana, one of my previous trainers as well, back in the studio. Bottom right is where I actually won the Innovation of the Year at the New Zealand Exercise Industry Awards, and that was for a model that I created around time efficiency. And we'll see further down why time efficiency is really good for exercise for some people, really bad for others. I love mountain biking, and that's the top right picture as well. So very much an active person, have been all my life, and that's why I went into back into helping people using exercise as a tool to get healthy. The one thing I found is that exercise as a tool to get healthy is just that, one tool. And as I mentioned, there are some people that with exercise get incredibly good results, add exercise to their routine, and away they go. Other people who I've helped over the years add exercise to their routine and they go nowhere. Some people actually continue to go backwards, and you start wondering what it is about the differences in people that makes some people get great results, some people get average, and some people nowhere. So moving on, how do you define optimal performance? So optimal performance is going to look different for different people. So perhaps it's competing at a super high level on a mountain biking race. The guy at the back, not the guy at the front, he's not performing too optimally at the moment. Perhaps you want to be a brain surgeon using this really cool 3D technology to map out the brain. It's what we're actually now up to, by the way. Maybe you want to do it for the kids. It's all about the family and the lifestyle. That's what it means for optimal performance. Perhaps you want to design or work in an amazing building like the GM building over in the States, very alien spaceship looking thing. Perhaps you want to just take heaps of time off. I think this is Mauritius, I believe it is, a really cool looking resort there. Or perhaps you just want a gold-plated Lamborghini. Perhaps optimal performance for you is a gold-plated Lamborghini. It's going to mean different things to different people. So how are some people able to achieve optimal performance and others are not? So the questions we've got are, is it because they're just born with good genes? Nothing we can do. Is it the diet? Eat really, really healthy food, away they go. Is it the lifestyle they lead? They just happen to do things that are allowing them to perform really well. Are they just lucky? Are they just got a lucky combination of things? Are we even in control? Is it just things that happen to us and how we react to them? So some indicators that you're not living your best life. So there'll be things that go on in your life which will tell you whether you are actually doing it right or doing it wrong. So perhaps you're getting angry. You got a short fuse and you're just firing off all the time. Perhaps you're just really, really stressed. Perhaps you're turning to drugs, drink, using it as a numbing technique or an escapism. Perhaps you're just completely overwhelmed. You can't keep up with all the work. Maybe you are breaking down, like emotionally breaking down, having counseling sessions with friends or actual counselors, just talking about all the things that are going wrong. Perhaps you're just falling asleep at your workstation, quite a common one, if you're just nodding off all the time. Maybe it's the kids that are suffering, you're not there for them, or you're snapping at them and they are bearing the brunt of your lack of performance. Maybe it's other people in your relationship. So perhaps you're having relationship breakdowns as well. Often people will go, oh yeah, I understand that. I know what that's like. I've been there, I've done that. Perhaps people are suffering with that at the moment. So the current approach to getting yourself to perform an optimal level is confusing and conflicting. So if you just look at, for instance, the tool of diet, because diet is just a tool, it's one tool that we have, and you look at the vegan and the carnivore diet. Now you go on the internet and go, what's the best diet for me? And you can go to one website and says, I went vegan, it's the best thing I ever did. Here's all my blood results. Here's my body results. It's amazing. Everybody should go vegan. And you go to another website and someone says, I'm on the carnivore diet. Here's my body results. Here's my bloods. I'm in amazing shape. Everybody should go carnivore diet. Now they're completely opposite. Completely opposite. One is eat all meat. One is eat all veggies, no animal products at all. And so how can you have two polar opposite approaches working for different people? Starts giving you an idea that perhaps different things might work for different people. We're also in an age of quick fix. And the greatest example I can think of quick fix is medication. So when you have an ill, you go to a doctor, and doctors are considered, the top of our hierarchy in terms of health, which they very much are not. I want to put that out there. What they are fantastic at diagnosing, and the medical model is amazing at diagnosing issues. What they are not very good at is fixing the fundamental root cause of what actually has caused the issue in the first place. They will patch you up with a sticking plaster of surgery or pills, is what they basically will do. And if you've been to the doctor, you will know what I mean. They'll refer you on for scans with the possibility of surgery, or they'll say, here are some drugs that we can use to mask your pains or to manage that problem. As soon as you start putting drugs in your body, you are changing the chemistry of your body, and that has a flow-on effect everywhere down the line. And it is just that. It's not trying to find what's gone wrong within our chemistry of our body. It is just patching it all up with medication. We also have a one-size-fits-all approach. So a good example of that, the early bird gets the worm. So that sentence basically says you need to get up and go at it at the start of the day. If you are not performing at a high level at the start of the day, then you're not going to be a successful person. You can listen to a lot of self-help gurus out there that say the best thing you can do is get up early. Now, I am never going to get up early and perform at an optimal level. It's not me. It's not in my biology. Here I am. I'm going to have another sip of my coffee. What's the time now? It's 10 to 11. If I could sleep until 9 or 10 o'clock each day, I would do it and I would be happy. I have a chronobiology, which is a timing of a night owl, which means that I start slow, and I'm always going to start slow. And then I will ramp up through the day, and then I will have my best ideas in the shower at night. I'll get up, come back to my computer, type them all down, and I'll have to turn myself off at 11 or 12 at night because I'm just going and going. If I say, yep, I'm going to be an early bird now, I will struggle to be an early bird. I will possibly condition myself through nurture to be an early bird, but there's going to be a flow-on effect through the day that's affecting other things later in the day. And that's just another good example of where things start to go a bit wrong and generic. Okay, so our best strategies to achieve optimal performance are effective 15 to 38% of the time. So here's some good stats for the people that like seeing graphs and stats. If we just use another two tools, which is exercise and nutrition, if we look at the top graph, high volume, high intense interval training versus low volume, high intense interval training versus mixed intensity, continuous training. These are different types of exercise modalities. So if you look at the three graphs in here, you'll see all of them have a green, which is here are the people that are going to get great results by using this particular tool. There's the green there, and if I move my zoom bar out the way, here's the green here. Then you have the uncertain people that might get some results. Yeah, you get something. It's probably not the best thing you do. And there's a big chunk of them there. Then you'll have a yellow graph, yellow section, which is the people that are just not going to get any results. They'll go nowhere with that. And then you get on two of the graphs, the adverse responders, the red people here. If you give these people this particular exercise tool, they will get less healthy. So can you imagine going to a trainer or joining a boot camp or going to a gym and getting a program and then saying, excellent, I'm going to now add exercise to my routine and it's going to really help me. And then you get less healthy. It's worse for you doing that exercise than if you did no exercise. And that's the reality of when we try and take generic approaches and give them to different people. But as you can see from here, the high volume, high intense interval training, you can see the green section here is the biggest. So that's why, as you know, as a qualified personal trainer, as a national award winner, I have said to my clients, the best thing that you can do for exercise is high volume, high intense interval training. Why? Because the science and the studies say it gets the best results. But the best results here are what? Not even a third. I think we're talking about 28, I can't remember the exact stats on that, but less than a third of people are going to do well from high intense interval training. Probably more like a quarter. But we give it to everybody as trainers. And I know this because I'm in the industry and I know that this is what trainers would recommend. High intense interval training, go to a boot camp, high intense interval training. And you're only going to help a quarter of the people with that tool. If you look at the Mediterranean diet, so if you know much about nutrition, Mediterranean diet is considered a really well-rounded, good example of a healthy diet using healthy fats and natural grains and unprocessed meat, and it's a pretty good balanced diet for the average person. However, if you use it to get weight management, you are going to, if you look at the graph here, it's going to give you about 23% of people who are on the Mediterranean diet in Australia, 23% have actually got benefits for weight loss using the Mediterranean diet. The best results come from preventing or managing cardiovascular disease. That's at 38%, but it's only 38%. And only if you want to prevent or manage cardiovascular disease. If you're wanting it to do other things, if you're looking here at improving or maintaining digestive health, imagine if your optimal performance was that you had irritable bowel syndrome or flatulence or bloating, and you said, I'm going to use this tool of Mediterranean diet to improve or maintain digestive health. You're looking at about 7% of people actually got the benefits from using that tool, 7%. So we don't have really great results from using these strategies to help our people, basically. Moving on, I'm going to have my coffee to help me wake up because I'm not a morning person. So modern society assumes we are all the same. So we all do very similar things in terms of we go to work and we do 9 to 5 in an office. We are very much all connected to the digital age. So we need to get up to speed with technology. If you don't, you can be left behind. It's a very fast-paced world we live in, and we all have to fit in and do the same kind of things. But biologically, that's not how we're all created. We're all designed to do different things. And if we lump ourselves together in modern society, which is fast-paced, all working for companies, trying to push ourselves ahead, being on digital devices the whole time, some people will adapt to that really well. Some people are going to struggle a lot with that whole approach to life. So we are all designed with unique talents and abilities to do different things. So the guy at the bottom left picture on here is Hafthor Björnsson, I think is his name. He is the mountain from Game of Thrones. He is actually the world record holder for the deadlift. You can see how much he's lifting. The bar is bending. It's an Olympic bar and it's bending. I think 501 kilos of weight on that bar. He's an absolute unit. Now, he's not about to dance on the ballet floor like this ballet dancer anytime soon. He's not going to be graceful. He's not going to be doing these amazing flexibility moves. He's not built that way. Conversely, the little ballet dancer here isn't about to go and turn around and start setting any deadlift records anytime soon. Neither of them are likely to be sitting in a lab concocting some amazing formulations. And again, none of them are likely to be Steve Jobs with amazing leadership qualities and being, the face and the vision of Apple. All these people shown here are doing very different things and they've got unique talents. And how do we know what those are? This is where we're going. So how does it all start? How we're all made? So first of all, boy meets girl, they like each other. Maybe there's a bit of alcohol involved in the mix there. Then sperm meets the egg and you have the first stage of fertilization, the zygote. Then we get cell division in the second stage, which is the blastula, and that's where the cells start to form. So the zygote is just one cell, it's the egg. And then it starts to divide as we start to create the human being. At the third stage, the gastrula, as you can see in the picture here, you start to get the forming of 3 different layers inside the body. So those 3 layers are the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. The ectoderm is the outer layer. So that is the construction of your central nervous system, your brain. The mesoderm, the middle layer, is the muscles, the connective tissue, the bones, your musculoskeletal system. And the gastrula is your endoderm. The endoderm is your internal organs. So that's your respiratory system, lungs, heart, all these organs inside your body. Different people will have different stages of development of these 3 layers. And they'll start dominating the development over one of these over the others. And they will lead to different body types when we're a human, when we're born. And if you've ever heard of the ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph body types, ectomorph being your skinny, basically your lean, mesomorph being your muscly, and endomorph being your large, this is where it starts. It actually starts right in the cell division stage. People start having a dominance towards one of these layers. And because you're starting to dominate one of these layers, you can imagine someone dominating in the layer of the ectoderm, the brain and central nervous system, the development of the mind and is going to be highly important for them. The mesoderm, the development of the muscles, using your muscles is going to be very important for them. The development of the endoderm, the endomorph, looking after their digestive system and the organs is going to be very important to them. So this is some of the stuff that starts becoming individualized with what we need to focus on with looking after various parts of our body. So some of the unique genes that we have, remembering that every single person on this planet is unique. The other amazing thing is that we're all unique to ourselves at any point in time. Our body basically every week, every 7 days will regenerate its cells. So basically in a week's time from today, you're a completely different person. And in another week, you're a completely different person because your body's continually producing new cells. We have the ability to reconfigure those cells in our bodies. And that's the amazing thing. So some examples, of course, some of them are hardwired in once we start hitting our adult form. And if you've ever noticed a baby's eyes, for instance, they are often quite a nondescript color, and then they'll start becoming a color. And then over a couple of years, they might be a different color. And I was looking at my daughter's eyes. She's now 5. And she had these amazing bright blue eyes. And they're still amazing eyes, but they're very much a blue-green now. So there's some green that's come in there. You know, if she is an adult, when she's in an adult form, those eye colors are not going to change. And certain genes will get locked in through our developmental stage. For instance, if you're an adult, which all of us are here, you're not going to go and change your eye color anytime soon. They're going to be your eye color. If you have blue eyes, you're going to have lighter color here. If you have green eyes, slightly darker generally, hazel darker again, brown eyes darker here. And moving down again, height and the ratio of waist is an important genetic marker. So certain people will be taller and have a different ratio with their waist. That tells us different things about the development of these people. And even certain finger lengths. So here's a little game we're all going to play. Play this together. Hold your hands up in front of you like this. And you want to look at your index finger and your ring finger on the same hand. So I'm looking now at my left hand, index versus the ring. Which one is longer? For me, if you can see it up here very easily, it's my ring finger. My ring finger is longer than my index. What that tells me is that there is dominance of testosterone in my developmental stage. How do we know that? It's one of the 3 markers of testosterone dominance. This is what's called phenotype. So a phenotype is the physical expression of a gene. Your eye color is the physical expression of a gene. Your finger length is the physical expression of a gene. It's called phenotypology. It's a really cool study. And so if you have all 3 markers of testosterone, by the way, which is a longer ring finger as opposed to index finger, a short femur, so a shorter leg, and a very square jawline in relation to your head size, then you have very high testosterone and you will have certain lifestyle things that come along with that. So these people, higher in testosterone, also higher in adrenaline, are risk takers. They are on-off type people. They are very emotional, very expressive. They will often potentially have some very high level of competitiveness. They may be hot-headed with a short fuse. There are certain things about people who have dominance of testosterone that other people won't have. And we can measure all that sort of stuff now using phenotypology to start creating this picture. That's just one small example. So the study of epigenetics. What is epigenetics? Epi means around or above your gene expression. So what we're looking at is how your genes are expressed, a study of how your genes are expressing and what that means for you, whether they're switching, whether they're turned on or off, basically. There are stack loads, thousands of genes, hundreds of thousands of genes in the body, and all of them are in an on or an off state. And it's the study of what those genes are doing to create you. So there's a question, there's a game we're all going to play. You can type it into the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and give me your answer. I'd like some interaction on this question. So the first two parts. The first part is, which is more important from the embryo stage to now, to who you are today, the genes that you're born with or the environment that you grow up in? Do you think, first of all, the genes that you're born with are the most important factor for your optimal performance and who you are? Or is it the environment you're put in that is more important? So first is, which one is more important? The second one is, what's the percentage? So the answer might be something like, I think it's genes and I think it's 60%, or it might be it's the environment and it's 90%. What do you think is more important in the ratio? Anyone want to have it as a guess?
I'd say your environment is a bigger factor.
Correct. That's the first one answer. The environment is the bigger factor. Now, what's the magnitude of factor?
I'd say it'd be quite high, like 70%.
You're on the right path. You're on the right path, Dan, but you are a fair bit off. 95%. 95% of who we are has come about because of the environment that we're put in rather than the genes we got. So a good example of that might be, for instance, and this is very interesting. New Zealand, by the way, leads the way in the world for diabesity in South Auckland. We have the largest amount of people who are obese and have diabetes brought in by being obese. So diabetes from being obese. It's type 2 diabetes. It's a horrible disease. And New Zealand, South Auckland, we lead the way. And there's reasons for that, which I won't go into now. But you can imagine two obese adults, and then you see this quite often with a very overweight child who's on the way to the same lifestyle, to the same thing. And people go, oh, look at the parents, look at the child, it's bound to happen. That's not actually the case. What's happening is that the child has been brought up in exactly the same environment that the parents are, and then have the same gene switching on, so end up being essentially the same version. But here's a really cool study to prove that that's not the case and doesn't need to happen. You're not a victim of your genes. It's the environment you provide that determines which genes are switched on and switched off. And that's really important. I'm going to repeat it. You're not a victim of your genes to say, oh, I've just got bad genes. It's not true. It's the environment you provide that determines how they're switching on and switching off. So these two mice, we love testing things on mice, don't we? And here's a lovely controlled test they've done on two genetically identical. So genetically exactly the same mice, they're the same age, created in a test tube, and both the embryos were put into two different mice mum. What they did is they then fed the mice mum BPA. BPA is a horrible chemical that they put in plastics. And you'll see drink bottles say things like BPA free. BPA is a horrible thing. You don't want BPA in our body. It causes so much chaos and carnage. They fed the mouse mums BPA, yay. Then they did two different things. For the mum on the left, they did nothing. They just said, here's your normal mouse diet, on you go. And the mouse on the right, they supplemented the diet with choline, folic acid, beta, and vitamin B12, different B vitamin supplements. What we know about these various B vitamin molecules is they will bind on to BPA and help remove it through the body. So if you go very high dose of certain B vitamins, it will bind on to BPA and help remove it from the body so it doesn't stay there. And so look at these two genetically identical mouse, just using one intervention of the right diet for them. One ended up very orange and obese. The other one ended up brown and normal. And there's exactly the same mouse. And that's quite fascinating to know that, just using one intervention that we know can help with a particular challenge, that this is the sort of difference we can make. Different environment, the environment being nutrition, different outcome. So it's so much more than just diet and exercise. Of course, I've touched on those as examples because these are obviously very tangible things, lots of studies out there. And there's not a lot of studies around some of these other things that we now know are very, very important. They will be coming over the years and you're going to hear a lot more about this. It's so much more than just diet and exercise. The things we look at, the lifestyle, of course, food and fitness are there, but your career. Some people, for what they do, their skills, what we call their genius, and how they use their skills are very, very important to them. If they're just doing a mundane job and it means nothing to them, they will be very unhappy and they'll always struggle, wondering why. And it will actually have a stress response in their body and it will lead to a lot of things going wrong. Sleep. Now, we know that sleep is very important. There's lots of studies on sleep. That's key. But are you someone that needs to sleep at a later chronobiology or a later time, or do you need to start bringing your sleep in earlier? And how do you switch the body off appropriately to then get the right quality sleep, getting into the REM, the deep sleep? Your mind. A lot of people are driven by their mind, and if they don't have the right technique to switch their mind off, they're going to go into neural burnout. So that's a hugely important focus for some people. Not me, interestingly enough. I have a very stable mind. It's not a high priority for me, and it's interesting knowing that and going, yeah, I tend to, I don't go into a lot of burnout phase. I can manage my mind quite nicely. Other people, definitely not. Your physical environment, where you put yourself, indoors, outdoors. That's a huge one for me. Outdoors. I'm an outdoors person. There's reasons why. Social. So some people, for instance, the last couple of years that we have been in with this lockdown phase, especially the big 3-monther last year, caused a huge amount of chaos. The social environment for some people is vitally important. And if you remove the social aspect, they are going to get very, very unwell. Some people, put them by themselves, they're like, fantastic, this is awesome, I can get so much stuff done. Driven, single-minded people, focused, they'll just love it and they'll be away. And other people get very, very unwell. And, we all got forced into a corner with these lockdowns, and some people thrived and some people suffered massively because of it. Okay, so what is now possible using epigenetics and gene expression to achieve optimal performance? We can now map all 25,000 genes in the human body. We can account for how the environment has switched those genes on or switch off with the platform. Now, of course, caveat, I did not create this system. This system was, it's been going on for about 25 years now with some world-level geniuses involved. In fact, the chief epigenetic scientist, Dr. Alberto Garoli, is the most intelligent man I've ever heard speak. He speaks to medical professionals, doctors all around the world, and is educating all these people on genetic health. And listening to him speak, he is just a walking encyclopedia. In fact, he has a photographic memory, and he is absolutely astounding. He's got multiple books out, a legend of a person. So these are the brains behind the platform. The platform has 15 layers of science involved into it. So some examples: neuroscience, chronobiology. You've heard me mention that a couple of times. Chronobiology is the science of time, knowing that we all respond differently to time. We have SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus, inside our body, which is the master clock. And for people, that is different. And we have to do different things at different times. TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Yes, they got some things right thousands of years ago, those clever Chinese. Modern science comes along and goes, nah, we know better than that. We're just going to ignore it all. But TCM got some elements of health that are still absolutely bang on correct today. Not everything, but some fundamental elements are very true. So they've brought out and studied all the things about these different sciences that are bang on and incorporated them into this platform. So there's over 10,000 computations and 500 algorithms all factored into the platform, so you can understand your unique biotrend. So a biotrend means your unique self, what your unique body is, basically. And then we get to the very important, I've called it the wheel of everyone. It's not its official name, but I like the wheel of everybody because everybody fits into this wheel. So you'll remember earlier I mentioned the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm germs of development inside the egg as we develop through the embryo. That leads to the ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph body type. When you have your profile done, you will be assigned one of 6 high-level health types. Now, it's very easy for people to then go, oh, so I'm one of 6 people in the world, am I? The answer is, of course not. You are uniquely you. And people will be more or less a particular biotrend than others. So, for an example, my biotrend is a diplomat. I am a diplomat in a lot of cases, but I'm a pretty interesting diplomat because put me into a work environment or project, I turn into a hard crusader. If you go into the mind section of my profile, I have a huge, in fact, 50% of my statements are of the crusader health type. Put me on a sports field, oh, I'm an activator. You don't want to be against me. I'll be yelling. You don't want to be a teammate either. I'll be telling you what to do, controlling everything. I'm an activator on a sports field. So I'm a mixture of all these different things in different environments. How do you know? Your profile, which is uniquely you, will specify, first of all, your biotrend, and then all the things that make up your unique self. So the one thing that I need to make sure, though, is that I, as a diplomat, live my life like a diplomat. And this is where I've come unstuck, and some of the big aha moments for me is realizing that if I'm this particular biotrend, and I put myself in an environment where I want to be this biotrend, and I stay in that, and doing the things that makes this biotrend light up, I will then fall apart because I'm not. I can't pretend to be another biotrend. I need to structure my lifestyle as a diplomat, understanding I'm going to be always drawn to doing things like this person with a bit of this person in there, but I am this person. And I need to make sure the elements of my performance are of this person. Otherwise, I will not sustain it and things will start going wrong for me. And we'll get back to the earlier slide where things start going wrong, falling apart, getting angry, stressed, using alcohol, all these different tools that people use to try and get their life back on track, or just when it's falling apart because they're not living their biotype. And that's where it gets really interesting. Some people are very much they're very much the epitome of that biotrend, and you can spot them very easily. The people who are absolutely next level, and I like to be there myself, can not only pick someone's biotrend, but also the specific number. So you'll see around the outside here, there are some numbers. So 0 to 360, I am a 320 diplomat, which means I sit right about, if you can see my mouse cursor, I sit right about here. What that means is I'm a ectomorphic diplomat. I'm a thinner diplomat. Diplomats are tall, generally the tallest health type. I'm 6 foot, and then from there, diplomats can go right up. If you have a endomorphic diplomat, they get very, very, very large. So, for instance, Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Rock, these are endomorphic diplomats, people that are tall and can get massively built. Your largest people, the hugest people, the people that have the ability to get obese, are your guardians. So that is where, if you look at someone who's obese, instantly they're a guardian, because guardians have the ability to just store the most amount of fat cells in the body. They can just keep storing them, keep storing them, keep storing them. Under stress, they'll start storing fat cells. And it's trying to work out what's causing the stress. And generally people would say, oh, just eat better and just move. That's not it. There's other things going on that we need to address. Otherwise, the guardian body under stress is going to keep storing fat cells. So all that, I'll break into shortly what it means for all these particular biotrends or health types, as you were. Essentially, that's where you'll start from at a high level, and then we start breaking down into what's uniquely you. So if we go down into, first of all, the sensor. So the sensor is your true ectomorph. They are the leanest people. If you see somebody that is just super, super skinny, chances are they're the ectomorph. They're the opposite of the guardian, who are potentially the big, large people. The ectomorph are the super skinny people. My partner is an ectomorph. She is 48 kilos. She's 168 centimeters tall, so she's not short, but there's nothing to her. She's super, super thin. And it's interesting in our society because she gets skinny shamed all the time. You can't use the word fat on people. You just can't do it. Trust me, I've been in the industry for a long time, and it's worse than swearing at somebody using the FAT term. But she gets called skinny, eat some food. She said all sorts of things. And she has a lot of issues dealing with all those things because our society is biased towards one type and not another. It's very interesting how that's worked out. So the sensors will be very difficult to gain muscle and fat. They're always going to be thin. They can't just eat a pie and pack on weight. It doesn't work like that. They are driven by their brain. They are very detail oriented. They're creative types. They are intellectual. They're strong-minded. They have highly developed senses, so that all that emphasis in the development stage of the embryo on the central nervous system and brain, like I picked out earlier with the ectoderm, means that they have a hugely developed central nervous system. So they have heightened senses. So hearing, sight, touch, smell, all elevated. These people's base level of anxiety, I guess you'd call it, is always up here. The reason is, from our historical age, these people are primed because they know they are the most vulnerable. If back in our clannish days, we're living in in a little community, and another clan attacks or a wild animal attacks, the senses are the first to go because they can't defend themselves. They are the smaller, they're the weakest. They are the weakest link, if you will. Because of that, they've been they've had development of their senses to prime themselves for awareness. So they will be the type of people that go, oh, they'll jump. They're jumpy people, and there's a reason for that. Because of that, they have certain optimal performance strategies that they need to implement so that they don't basically burn out. They will burn out in their mind. So optimal performance strategies for the sensor. If you are a sensor, you need to make sure that you are practicing calmness and serenity daily. What would that look like for a sensor? That might be meditation. That's such a useful tool for the sensor. That might be taking a candlelit bath. Light some candles, have a bath, super, super relaxing, dialing the sensors down. Maybe it's doing some yoga. Again, gentle, not your hot yoga. That not be the right type of thing, but some calming movements might be a really, really good thing. Just reading a book. There are so many things that might be calmness and serenity for a sensor, depending on what lights them up. Another important thing is to keep warm. Because they are so thin, they will stress if they get into a cold state. Sensors in winter are a very different person to sensors in summer. And my partner is very interesting. When I first started dating her, I said to her, do you notice a difference in your mood between winter and summer? And without hesitating, she said, oh yeah, I hate winter. I'm a grumpy bum. In summer, love it. They are the most aware of temperature, and they struggle to keep warm enough in winter, and it will affect their mood a lot. And it will also burn them out. They'll get a lot more tired because so much of their mental resource is being used on warming up. And again, warm, well-cooked foods. They've got a tender digestive system, and they don't want to use a lot of the energy to break down raw foods. So well-cooked foods make a big difference. And again, warm, so it warms them up from the inside. So cold, raw foods, for instance, if you were to say, let's have lots of smoothies, salads in particular, lots and lots of salads, which are raw and cold, that would be not a very useful thing for these people to do. Lifestyle stresses for the sensor, busy and noisy environments. If they were in an office and there was lots of people hustling and bustling past them with lots of chat going on, it would cause havoc for them. They'd be very unproductive. No planning or ad hoc activities. So they are, because they are driven by their brain, they need to make sure that everything is in order. They're very orderly people. So if things just pop up that aren't planned, it will cause a stress for them. And being uncomfortable or feeling unsafe. So again, because they're driven and they've got this anxiety around safety and being vulnerable, even if they don't think they are, their biology knows that they are vulnerable. So if they're uncomfortable or they're feeling unsafe, it's going to massively hamper their productivity and their efficiency. So moving on, you see we move up to the Crusader. Now, this is my secondary health type. And it's funny, I've had a lot of people in the coaching community with this technique say, oh, you seem very Crusader-like. Oh yeah, I am. I'm very much Crusader-like. But the trick is I'm not. So Crusaders are, again, often very tall. The two tallest are your Crusaders and your diplomats. The Crusaders are a mixture of your ecto and meso. So a combination of the neural development and the muscular development. So they are tall, they are lean, they can be difficult to gain muscle and fat, but not like the sensor. So if actually I'll go back a slide. One thing I forgot to share, which is always quite interesting, who are some sensor celebrities or body types that you might identify with? Ben Stiller, he's a sensor. Gwyneth Paltrow, she's a sensor. This ballet dancer, I don't know who it is, but she's 100% a sensor. It's a very creative enterprise as well. And the late, great Snoop Dogg, also a sensor. And so sensors often end up in artistic endeavors. Actors, for instance, if you look at actresses, a lot of actresses on movies often end up being censors because they are very creative. Now the Crusader, they are, I won't go back into the sensor, but the Crusaders are driven by a hormone. Every health or biotrend has a hormone that will be dominant and dictate a lot of development. For the sensor, it's vasopressin, which means that heightened awareness is what vasopressin is all about. Crusader is dopamine. Dopamine is get things done. I'm on a mission, get out of my way. I'm going to achieve this thing. I'm going to tick things off. And when I do, I feel good. And I get a hit of dopamine for achieving this thing. And I want to do it again. And I want to do it again. And so they are project people. They are on their mission to succeed. They often rise to a very high level in their field because they're so determined to achieve what's important to them. Optimal performance strategies for the Crusader is making sure they've got a powerful vision for their life. A lot of Crusaders will just walk about not really knowing what their point is, and that is a huge stress on them. They need to be sure what their point in existence is and what they're actually striving for. And then creating an efficient, productive, and again, warm space, because they've got that ectomorph about them. They need to keep warm, not as critical as the sensor, but they still need to keep warm. But it's all about productivity and efficiency for the Crusader. They are the endurance cardio specialists. So all your Tour de France cyclists, all your marathon runners are all Crusaders. They'll just go and go and go and go. You know, Crusader can just get outside. I haven't run for months or years and just knock out 10Ks without even thinking about it. They are just the natural endurance athletes. They're so good at it that it allows them, because you can get into a cadence or a rhythm, it's really good for switching off their mind. They're also driven by their mind, like the sensor. It's the number one priority for the Crusaders, also the mind. And the cardio, going for a run or a cycle, or just doing something where they get into a rhythm, allows them to switch their mind off. And that can recharge their mind and then allow them to perform at 100%. So they also are the most tight of the biotrends. They have calcification that happens inside their body, which means they get very tight. So, you know, say to a Crusader, bend over and touch your toes. Well, they'll really struggle to do that because they're naturally very tight. So they have to stretch a lot to get to take the tension out of their body, especially through the spine. So lifestyle stresses for the Crusader is just unsure what their purpose in life is. Not switching off the mind to recharge, and windy environment. They're very susceptible to wind. So even including air conditioning, if they're sitting under an air conditioning vent and it's blowing out on them, it will actually start messing with them and they'll start being aware of it and it'll annoy them. So getting out of the wind, including AC, seems very small and pedantic, but it's actually very important for the Crusader, wind. So good examples of Crusader, as I said, we've got the marathon champions down here. We've got good old Chris Hemsworth, he's a Crusader, and Will Smith, you know, very much interesting public figure at the moment, but these are Crusaders. You know, what are their visions? Or you can probably tell them to be the best actors, to be the best marathon, to win the marathon race, to be the best actor in the world. This is what drives these people. The activator is next. The activator is your true mesomorph. So right through here is your activator. They are short. They're one of the two shortest health type or biotrends, with them in the next one's over, which we'll go to shortly. They have well-defined muscles when they're training. Females, they have a typical hourglass figure. So a lot of people look at a activator and go, oh, wow, I want a body like them. They're highly competitive natural athletes. So they will just be the ones that are drawn into all kinds of competitive sport. All your CrossFit athletes, for instance, are all activators mostly. They are very coordinated, they're reactive, they're powerful, they'll act impulsively, and they're an adventurous risk taker. So optimal performance strategies, these are the ones who I mentioned before. If we look at the top, driven by adrenaline and testosterone. You know how I mentioned that, that check on the fingers for your longer finger. If you had the longer ring finger, the more squared jaw, and the short femur, which obviously starts affecting the height, shortens them down, the short femur, these are markers of high testosterone, you will be an activator. And then you will have all these things that I just mentioned. Optimal performance strategy for an activator. Daily high intensity movement. These are the only people that have exercise as the number one priority. No other biotrend, 0 of the biotrends have food as number one, and only 1 has exercise. So as a personal trainer, that's why I couldn't get great results for a lot of people. Food and fitness, 2 tools that I used, only 1 has fitness and none have food as 1 and 2. Interesting, isn't it? There's other lifestyle interventions that are more important. And that sort of blows people's minds when they go, oh, to perform well, to get your body and your mind clear, eat well and move well. As a trainer, I say that for years. It's not true. It's not true. So for the activator, that's true for this person. In fact, number 1 is fitness, number 2 is food. So an activator is a personal trainer's wet dream. If an activator came to me, they would get amazing results. And looking back over the years, the people who have got amazing results fit into that category. I would call them all activators. Give them high intense exercise, give them 6 more meals a day, and I'm absolutely in amazing shape, feeling amazing. Yeah, because it just so happened that 1 and 2 of the priorities for you are food and fitness. There are 7 priorities we look at. 7 priorities we look at. Food and fitness, or fitness and food for the activator, just happen to be 1 and 2. So they'll just happen to get great results. So high intense movement, these are very much on-off people. What goes wrong for the activator is modern life is busy and they will just go on the whole time. Now an activator should just go on, off, on, off, on, off, which is why high intense exercise works so well for them. High intense exercises, give it your all, have a break. Give it your all, have a break. Complete opposite of the Crusader, which is just go and go and go and go and go and go. Crusaders, basically, the ones before over here, these are the people out in front. These are the people that create modern life. These are the people that are basically pulling us all forwards. Your CEOs, come with me. I'm on a mission. We're going to do this thing. They're the ones that build the pace of modern life. Let's just keep busy and go busy. Crusaders and modern life do really, really well. Modern life is basically created by Crusaders for Crusaders. That's how it works. If you're a Crusader, you will do well in modern life. If you're an activator, you won't, because modern life says go the whole time. Activators need to stop. And to tell an activator to stop is a very, very hard thing. Activators are very, very fiery. They are natural leaders. And so if you tell them they got to stop doing things, they're going to fight you on it. And I've had many times, I've coached 60 people through this platform now, I think. And to tell an activator to stop doing things, it's trying to tell a fish to stop swimming. It's just not going to happen. But if you explain it in a way that they will perform so much better and recharge the energy to go better at their exercise if they take that break. And so often it's just about saying, if you take 2 15-minute do nothing breaks each day, where you just lie on the couch doing nothing, you do two that a day, you will be a different person, because they're bringing that off into their life that they just don't get. Modern society doesn't allow life to switch off. Got to work, I've got to get the kids, I've got to go drop them at sports. I've got this thing that's due. It's just on. So variety, because they are I guess, dynamic people, they need dynamic activities in their life. So monotony for an activator equals boredom equals stress response in their body. And these are the people that should have 6 small meals a day. So if you, from a nutrition perspective, say 6 small meals a day are better than 3 large meals, that's incorrect because it's a generalization. For the activator, however, it is true. 6 small meals a day, high protein diet. If you put an activator onto a vegan diet, very, very unwell. If you come back to that slide I was talking about earlier, which compared your vegan versus carnivore, the activator will do very, very well on a carnivore diet. They'll do very badly on a vegan diet. The reason is, going back to our ancestral days, the activator is the hunter. From our hunter-gatherer clannish days, the activator is the hunter. What does the hunter do? Stab, kill, slice, rest. Stab, kill, slice, rest. Because of that, what are they stabbing and killing? Animals. What are they used to eating? Animals. Their digestive system is designed to eat animals because they're the hunter. They're the natural hunter. To tell a hunter you can't actually eat the thing that you're hunting, just eat the plants that the gatherers are gathering, is going against biology. So a carnivore diet, not that I always suggest a carnivore diet because it's too extreme. Anything that says vegan or carnivore is always too extreme. And the right answer is somewhere in the middle. The activators need very high antioxidants. Well, you don't get a lot of antioxidants from meat. What's some of the best sorts of antioxidants? Berries, dark chocolate. So if you look at activators' food profile, because you get an app, which obviously has a desktop version as well, and it will specify the foods out, and I'll go into more detail shortly about what that looks like, they will have very high ratings for food that are high antioxidants, which isn't meat. So again, they will do well, but they won't be performing optimally if they went onto a carnivore diet. Lifestyle stressors, they are not moving enough. If an activator is sitting still, they will build up testosterone and adrenaline, and it will be like a volcano. It's going to come out somehow. If you have, and this is where your typical short, angry man comes from. You know, the short, that sort of short, angry man generalization. It's true. Short, angry equals activator who's not moving. And the adrenaline testosterone is coming out through anger explosions. If you got a short, angry man to start exercising, the anger disappears. That's how it works. They're just not exercising. Fasting or a vegan diet, as I mentioned before, lifestyle stressor, because they have such a hugely fast metabolism, they need to eat the whole time. If you've ever heard the term hangry, which is hungry and angry, I'm getting hungry, so I'm getting angry, that's an activator through and through. So an activator that's not eating enough will get very, very stressed. And again, not taking the mental breaks. There's no off to the on, very important. So who are some activators that we know? Tom Cruise. He's an activator. All CrossFit athletes, like this one here, I forget her name, but she's an absolute weapon of a CrossFit athlete, and pretty much all boxers. So Jake Paul and Floyd the Money Mayweather, these are activators, highly reactive, highly competitive, and just look at their bodies, you know, so well-defined, such well-defined muscles. They don't need to train all day at the gym. If they do training, look at the activators' bodies, look at the muscles on this female, just incredibly muscular, powerful physiques. The connector, the fourth of our 6 high-level biotypes. The connector dominant hormone is oxytocin. Can anyone tell me what oxytocin does? Here's a quiz. Does anyone know? Unmute your mic and tell me if you think you know what oxytocin does as a hormone. It's the love hormone, touch, connection. So handshakes, eye contact, even petting an animal, touch, love, expressing through affection. What does that mean? Connectors are very affectionate people, of course. They are meso-endo, so a mixture of the muscular plus the endo, the large. They are short, powerful, and curvy. So they are often the shortest, or at least the same as the activator. The difference is they are a bit chunkier. They often, if you look at the bottom here, I think it's Cardi B. I'm not too familiar with my pop icons these days. Look at the hips. Look at the hips on this physique. That's a connector through and through, super curvy, thinner waist and big curvy hips, you know, absolutely amazing physique. If you like your curvy woman, then connectors are going to be right up your alley. They are social chameleons. They have the ability to adapt to any situation. So they are blessed with what's called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons means that they have the ability to see what's happening in front of them and mirror it like a chameleon. So they will go to any social situation and just blend right in. They'll just be loved by everybody. People go, oh, you're so amazing. You're so nice. You really get me. They can just blend and adapt. It's an amazing skill they've got. And realizing that each biotype, each biotrend, each person has got unique skills that other people don't have. And I've spoken to connectors who are like, isn't everybody like this? No, they're not. They have the ability to read people and decide in a very short amount of time whether they like the person or whether the person is not likable, is deceptive, is got some negative characteristics that they're trying to hide. They can work them out and sum them up. And if you see a connector and a connector is just moving themselves away from somebody, you should probably do the same too, because the connector's picked up on something that you just can't see because it's a superpower they've got. They are outgoing, friendly, they're affectionate. They are great multitaskers. They often think out loud. If you know anybody that thinks out loud, it's a connector trait. And they're their best, as I said before, to multitask. No one really does well multitasking, really, but connectors do. The opposite of the crusader, we go back here to our crusader, they are goal-focused, driven to succeed. They will put their blinkers on and they will just go at one thing. They're the worst multitaskers. Give them a multitask environment. I should probably actually put this into my slides here as well. Lifestyle stressor, multitasking. However, connector, they do really, really well multitasking, gives them variety that they need, but they're easily distracted. What's the biggest distraction? As you see optimal performance strategies here, the removing distractions is a huge part of the optimal performance for a connector. Smartphones. If you have a connector on a smartphone, they're just going to get distracted. And they'll go down a rabbit hole of looking at this and looking at that and going off here. Smartphones and social media in particular is very clever at keeping you trapped and keeping you wanting to use it more. And connectors fall into the hole really, really badly. So they also, for optimal performance, need to surround themselves with inspirational, motivational people and catch up regularly because they're driven by oxytocin, the touch, the connection. Their number one, well, actually number one for them is mind, but the next priority is social. Their social environment is absolutely critical for a connector. And removing carbs from the evening meal because of the endomorph, the larger ability, carbs unused for endomorph body at the end of the day equals weight gain. It's through and through. If you are endomorph body type, carbohydrates are not your friend, which is why this big push towards low carb diets. Again, yes, for certain health type, for biotrends, works really well. The endomorph body type, which is part connector, and we'll move into the guardian shortly, which is the true endomorph, get carbs out. It's just such a great nutritional strategy. Lifestyle stresses for the connector. Isolating yourself. As I said, lockdown. If you're a connector and you deal with lockdowns, you are going to be an unwell person. And there's nothing you can do about it because you're forced into a situation that's against your biology. So monotonous exercise by yourself. They're group people. So team players, making it fun. There has to be fun element. Connectors are super fun people. They love fun in their life. And if they're doing something by themselves, that's just like the grind, opposite of the crusader. So the crusader will just go for a run by themselves. Connector will play a random sport like volleyball with a team. It's a difference in how they view exercise and what they get from it. And a small social circle. So connectors will often have a number of people they like to connect with for various, fulfilling various roles. And if it's a small social circle, it can create a lot of problem. Some connector examples, Mark Wahlberg. I think I said it's right. I think it's Cardi B. And Kevin Hart. These are all connectors. Extroverts, loud people, often performers. Fantastic for a connector to get up and just say funny things or entertain people. They're entertainers. The guardian. These are the true endomorph. They're the largest and the strongest biotrend. People also think that because you're a guardian, it means you're going to be fat. I'm going to point you straight away to the bottom right where you have your pictures. Now, this is Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall is another strongman. So him and the mountain that I mentioned earlier, Hafthor Bjornsson, are both guardians. Eddie Hall and I don't know if they've had their fight yet, but both Eddie and Hafthor are going to fight each other because they're just competitors. Eddie started then training to be a boxer. Look at his physique. He went from this power lifter on the left-hand side to this ripped boxer. Doesn't mean if you're a guardian, you have to be obese. It does not mean that. They have the ability, the easiest to become obese and overweight. They don't have to stay that way. Look what he's managed to do to his physique shape, just to let any guardians out there know there is hope for you. I've got some guardians that are in great health. I've got some guardians that are in really bad health. Modern society is not friendly to a guardian, but with the right strategies, you can do amazing things. Guardians need to know that they are the strongest. They can protect everybody. No one messes with a guardian. You just don't, because they will just knock you on the head and flatten you right out. You try and take a big swing at a guardian, they won't even feel it. They're absolute weapons of humans. They've got the biggest bones, the biggest muscles, and unfortunately, that comes with the biggest fat storage capacity. They're very family oriented. The number one priority for a guardian is their social environment for different reasons. The reason for a guardian, as you can see at the top here, they're driven by prolactin. Now, prolactin is the hormone of care. It's what mums get when they give birth to their child. They get a huge surge of prolactin that makes them care and love their child. Guardians have high levels of prolactin anyway, which makes them care and love for all people that are important to them. You'll see guardians often in nursing and care roles, rest homes, nurses at hospitals, where they care for people because they're caring people. Guardians are very often, however, show that care through protection of their family or their friends. They are, as mentioned next, family-oriented, dependable, stable and steady. They have, however, the slowest metabolism and the slowest pace of life. Now, coming back to what I mentioned before, diabetes, South Auckland, we lead the world in it. We have a large Maori Pacific Island population that live in South Auckland that come from the islands. What's island time? Is island time rushing? No, island time is slow. So they come from a biological background where they are in their communities, very family oriented, and they have a slow pace of life. Come to modern society, Auckland, busiest city in New Zealand, and it's rush, fast paced, get a job, eat this artificial food, and also stay more isolated because larger city equals less connection with people. Modern society does not work for the Guardians. It's against all the things that they do. So slowing the pace of life down and getting back to what actually makes the Guardian right is key. So optimal performance strategies for a Guardian: caring for others. Their health is related to the health of their tribe. If the people they care about, whether it's family or friends, or team members or co-workers, start getting very, very sick or stressed with things that are going on for their life, because they care for these people, they will start stressing on behalf. So they should go low carb, low protein, very, very high veggies. They are the best on a vegan diet. Did anyone see the movie The Game Changers? Now, The Game Changers was basically a vegan promo film made by vegans for vegans to convince the world that everyone should go vegan. One of the things they did was they took these high-performing athletes from American football and put them on a vegan diet, and then compared their bloods and their body composition and all these things, and got amazing results. Now, however, I don't know about you, but do you think they just chose the big linebackers, or maybe they chose the whole team? Do you think that maybe the whole team didn't quite get the results they wanted? So on the show, they just showed the big, huge linebackers, i.e. the Guardians, who got the great results by going vegan. Yes, because they cherry-picked the data, which is what all these people do to prove what they want to prove, and showed that the large people, the Guardians of the team, got amazing results going vegan. Yes, because it works for some people. The linebackers, the big, I guess our front rowers in rugby, same body type. Put them on a vegan diet, they'll do really, really well. Because they're the strongest, their body relates and does really, really well with big, heavy weights. Put them in the gym, get them lifting big compound movements, your bench presses, your deadlifts, your squats, bent over rows, your big power movements, and their body responds really, really well to that. But also long, slow cardio. They should not do high intense exercise at all. Wrong exercise modality. However, go for a walk. Go for an hour-long walk every single day. Get your steps up. Like, just give them a 10,000 step, put your watch on or put it on your phone. Just get your steps up. Move more. They'll get really good results from that. Lifestyle stresses for a Guardian. Snacking. Now, Guardians have the largest digestive system, and because of that, it takes more time between meals to rebalance. They shouldn't put a snack in there because it messes with the rebalancing. They should only have 2 or 3 meals a day. That's all. They shouldn't snack. 2 or 3 meals only. A large dinner is really, really incorrect for the Guardian. A smaller dinner, lunch should be the biggest one. Constantly prioritizing others over themselves. Because of this care factor, they will care for others to the point that they won't care for themselves. Because they're so resilient, however, Guardians can absorb so much stress, they won't notice it's all going wrong until all of a sudden they wake up in a hospital ward and the ambulance in the bottom of the cliff. So it will be perfectly fine for a Guardian to absorb stress from all the others around them for that to care about. And the whole time they'll be getting unhealthy, but they can absorb it until instantly, snap, they can't. And then they're a really bad case. And a fast-paced life, as I mentioned before, if we can just get them to slow down, get out in nature. Why nature? Well, nature's natural. Nature's slow. Nothing in nature is rushed. How long does it take to grow a plant or a tree? Not instant. It's a slow process. Get them out in nature. So as I said, some examples. Eddie Hall, fantastic transformation of a Guardian. Oprah, I mean, the most Guardian-y Guardian that ever Guardianed is Oprah, right? Just the care that comes out of her is just very warming to your soul. Very caring lady. And again, all the front rowers of rugby, Guardians, just large, strong people. Put any other health type in the front row and they'll just get their necks snapped and their bones snapped. Guardians, no, they're designed to just handle it. Okay, moving on to the final of our, we're almost there. I don't know how much time we're supposed to have, but wrapping up soon. The diplomat, the 6th of 6. This is my biotype. Now, the diplomats are very interesting because they are a mixture of ecto and endo. Ecto is skinny, endo is large. So they're a mixture of thin and big. Depending where you sit, as I mentioned that wheel before, like myself, you can be an ectomorphic diplomat. As you can see, I'm not, actually, you can't really see me very well. I'm not large, but neither am I skinny. I'm kind of like more of a medium build. but I have the ability to pack on a lot of muscle because of that endomorph. So I've been as light as 80 kilos. I've been as heavy as 94 kilos. When I was 94, I was quite bulked up at 6 foot tall. So diplomats, tall, have the ability to put on a decent amount of muscle. They are strong and they're also very, very resilient, very resistant to pain. They are the most natural of all health types. The number one priority for me is my physical environment, which specifically means get out in nature. I am nomadic in my, I guess, historical community ancestry days, designed to roam around. And I do not do well in this concrete jungle we call home. So how can you bring more, if you're a diplomat, how can you bring more of the nature into your life? Very important thing to think about. Diplomats are also ruminating thinkers. They'll often think and think and think and think to the point of procrastination and take no action. Now, interesting fact, New Zealand has a very high portion of diplomats. We have a disproportionately high portion of diplomats. We have a large diplomat population. The reason is that a perfect vocation for a diplomat is farming. Why? Because what do you do when you're on a farm? You're outside the whole time. You can just, you know, picking up fence posts, picking up sheep, doing strong things, just being so resilient, being able to handle it the whole day. And it's such a perfect diplomat thing that it's just attracted a lot of diplomat, I guess, body types into that lifestyle. And New Zealand, as you know, has a very large, or had a very large farming community. I don't know what's going to happen with that in the coming years. Anyway, so the procrastination is a diplomat Achilles heel, and knowing that, you can put some strategies in place. Diplomats are driven by serotonin. Don't want a hormone up here. Serotonin is, I just want to feel good. It's pleasure. Give me pleasure. So they will seek pleasure, and pleasure has to be planned into their life. They're easygoing people pleasers. Diplomats like being liked, and they're very likable. However, diplomats can also get walked over by other people who don't like the fact that they are just trying to get along. Diplomats often have a problem saying no. They're very empathetic. They can see both sides of a situation and an argument, and they make amazing mediators. Because of the fact they can see both sides, they can work out a solution that has both parties' interests at heart. Optimal performance strategies for a diplomat, like myself, take the morning slow and avoid stress. Absolutely critical. It comes back to that chronobiology or the timing. Not morning people, never going to be morning people. If you work in an office that says you're going to get in here by 7 o'clock, I would suggest you're in the wrong job. Or can you work from home? Can you say to your boss, for instance, can I come in a bit later and work a bit later? What can you do to just take your morning slow and push the day out? If you have to get up early, plan everything the night before, and just the morning on autopilot. You know where your keys are, your lunch is ready made, have a coffee on the way to the work if you like, just take it really cruisy so you don't bring stress into your morning. Very critical. Clearing clutter. Diplomats do very, very well in a uncluttered environment. And so it's trying to work out where clutter and mess sits and clean it up. Diplomats often are called OCD. Things have to be in their right place. You know, if you go into I've still got my gym. If you go into my gym, my dumbbells have to be all aligned with the weights facing downwards. I go in there and someone spun my dumbbell around, I'll be like, I have to go fix that. And it bothers me because we have this importance on our physical environment. And again, getting out in nature, as I mentioned, absolutely critical. Gut microbiome is critical for serotonin. So serotonin, 80% of serotonin is produced in the gut. So you have to look after your gut health. You've got to make sure your gut microbiome is in the right state. Lots of probiotic foods, prebiotic foods to feed the probiotic foods. Fermenting foods work really well. That would be things like kimchi, kombucha, foods that are fermented. Okay, lifestyle stresses for the diplomat. Heavy exercise in the morning. Now, I've had to try and condition some diplomats who the only time they can exercise and do, like, for instance, strength training like the Guardian works really, really well for the diplomat because they're strong. If the only time they've got to do it in the morning, it will cause more stress doing it in the morning than not doing it at all. That's how sensitive they are to stress in the morning. So for diplomats, you have to push your exercise later in the day. Can you do it in your lunch break? Can you do it after work? When can you do it that's not in the morning? No planning, last minute decisions. Diplomats have to own their own schedule. very important. Even if you work for somebody else, how can you take the tasks that you have been given, but then put them into your own calendar? So you take ownership of them. And if things pop up that are last minute, it creates a lot of chaos for the diplomat. They don't like that at all. And running to somebody else's schedule, as I mentioned before, very, very important. So how can you take control of the schedule, and how can you plan things in, and to avoid, life's always going to have some last minute emergency things that pop up. But if it's things that can be planned in, you're just going to remove that stress level. So who are some diplomats that we might know? We've got The Rock, as I mentioned before, more of an endomorphic diplomat. Serena Williams, Nicole Kidman, and Ben Affleck. So diplomats tall, diplomats strong, powerful, can pack on a lot of muscle if they need to. Not as much as the Guardian, but diplomats have a lot less fat storage. So diplomats, one thing I liked when I got told this one, is that they have the body of the ancient Greek gods, tall, muscular, but with the sort of the thinner waist and more defined muscles because of the less fat storage. And I was like, oh, I like thinking of myself as a Greek god. I'll take that. That's a win. So moving on, last few slides now about what it looks like if we've delved in here. There are, with the app, with the platform, you get your own app on your phone, which delves into your unique profile. As I said, not just the generics of that high-level health type, but actually your specific. So if you look at my lifestyle here, it says here, look, this is just snapshots from my own one. Avoid stress between 8 and 11. I can't do anything stressful before 11 in the morning. Not good for me. Planning, moving, exercise, look, between 3 and 5. And only quiet time starts from sort of 8 onwards. So very much a later push for me through the day. Some talents and skills that I've got, which are uniquely me. I might not be a good fit for direct sales strategies, as I may tend to avoid imposing or persuading people to persuade things. Oh yeah, I hate that. I hate the whole, trying to sell something to somebody. It doesn't fit well with me. But however, it gives me tips on how I can do like indirect sales. And I find that by talking about my passion, people go, wow, that sounds really cool. I want to be part of that. So I'm not selling anything. I'm just talking passionately about what I believe in. And if we look at the food list, some examples, I typed in pasta into my food list. Now there are, I think they said there's about 800 foods in the platform now, but depending where you are in the world, it will be filtered down to what's available for your area. It's incredible. If you go to another country, it will automatically know, the app will know you're in another country and will show you the available foods based in that country that are right for you. So every food is ordered from the best for you through to the worst for you. So if I looked at pasta, rice pasta or rice noodles, brown or whole grain, they're great. Yeah, I can have those regularly. Wheat pasta, no. Good old traditional pasta you'd think about having, no, not very good for me. And there's a reason for that. A little bit of a fact for you. Diplomats, being the most natural of the health type, need the most natural food. What's pasta made from? Wheat. What's wheat? The most artificially modified crop in existence. It is so different than what it was back in our grandparents' generation, because it's now pesticide resistant, can be grown all year round, herbicide resistant. It's so changed at a genetic level to not resemble wheat that it once was. And the diplomat body goes, I don't know what this is. I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just going to let it sit here in my gut and start causing chaos and other things back up. So if you're a diplomat and you get a lot of bloating or farting or irritable bowel, removing wheat from your diet, going gluten-free is a massive win. Diplomats, go gluten-free. Another huge win. I did that, made huge difference, huge difference. Moving on. Change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. So I can say all this great stuff to people and they'll go say, yeah, my lifestyle's not that bad. The pain's not really there. I'm not going to do anything. But if you know somebody in your life, perhaps it's you, perhaps somebody that you know is really struggling with trying to build an optimal performance life, trying to push themselves forward, and the pain of where they're at is just too much, point them in my direction, because I can specify something, I can specify a lifestyle that nobody else can do with this technology. So the boss level optimal coaching membership includes, there's 2 parts to it. Optimization phase. First of all, we create your profile. Who are you? What are you as a person? You'll have a biotype, and then you'll have your unique thing. No profile is ever the same as anybody else. I'm also just finishing off the build now for the boss level app. All the coaching tools in one place, reminding people. We've got chat groups in there. We've got challenges in there. And to try and get people to interact, you can do drag and drop. You can highlight things you're working on. There's all sorts of really cool things in the boss level app. Then we do a coaching session. which is to say, right, of all the priorities we're working on, what's the best ones for you? Where are you at? Meet people where they're at. What's your lifestyle looking like? What lifestyle things do we need to change to get you to align with your profile at a high level? Then we do a movement correction session. And this is not due to the epigenetic platform. This is another area I've been studying. Where does stress and dysfunction lie in your body? I don't know if you guys saw the talk done by Richard Ellis, former personal trainer of the year. It was earlier this year, I think it was. He's a colleague of mine, and he is a movement correction ninja. That's what he does. That's his field of specialty. He's actually my mentor. So Richard Ellis has been my mentor for movement correction. And so I incorporate movement correction into this program because I know enough about it to help people remove stress from where their body is. And then we work through an exercise plan that's right for you, making sure that we're giving you the right times of day, right things to do, and setting you up from there. After that, after the optimization phase is done, we then do the lifestyle phase, which is making sure that you live your life like this. So there are regular Zoom sessions each week. There are challenges for the month to keep people on track with the things they should be doing. There's performance rating, automatically prompting people to rate their performance and how they're doing in 10 key areas to see where they score, all done through the app. Chats, either with the coach individually, through the other bio trends. So you can talk, if you're a diplomat, you can talk to just all the other diplomats about diplomat stuff, or everybody in the program as an all-in chat. There are profile updates regularly. Now, the important thing to know is because we always adapt, your profile at the start, if you start making some improvements, will not be your profile at the end. So, for instance, my profile has changed a lot. I started, if you go back to that wheel, remember the 360-degree wheel, I moved 30 degrees from a slightly endomorphic diplomat when I was 94 kilos, right the way around. And my app, as I started to change, started telling me to do different things. The thing that changes the most, I've noticed, is the food list. The food list will start changing. If you get more towards health, more towards optimal performance, then your food list will become more open, and things that will be restricted because of what it's been doing to your genes will become easier. So you do the right things, you get more options with food, which is really, really cool. And we have a Facebook group and community to chat with as well, for the wider community feel as well. That is epigenetics expanded into a nutshell, a very large nutshell. Are there any questions on all of that? I don't know if I've gone way over time. I have. We started a bit late, but I've still gone over time. I apologize for doing that. Hopefully there was some very interesting insights from there.
Absolutely. No, it was really interesting to learn about it. Definitely able to pick out some of the body types of the people I live with.
Yes,
and help
that's
me
where it gets
understand
really
a little
interesting.
bit.
Oh, yeah. And there are some very obvious ones. And at the start, I would encourage you, based on what I was saying before, to just start going around noticing, oh, there's a very overweight person. They're a guardian. Therefore, what is it about their lifestyle that might be right or wrong? Oh, that person looks like an activator there. They're fiery. They're short. What is it about them that I might be able to pick out from that?
Yeah, definitely. We're a bit short of time now, so if anyone's got any quick questions, we can ask them. But it was definitely succinct. Thank you so much, Ross. Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Malcolm,
and that was just scratching the surface too, believe it or not. 3 years of study condensed into about an hour 20 there.
yeah, wow. No, it's a lot of science there for sure. So definitely. Well, thanks again, Ross. Appreciate your time, and thank you to the others who joined in today. Obviously, if you do want to connect with Ross with Boss Level, with that whole the new brand that you guys are launching, then definitely. So thanks everyone. We'll be back in a fortnight, and yeah, thanks so much, Ross. Definitely food for thought, and how I can better fuel my body to be at that 100%, which I think is the goal for everyone.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you want to know more, you can check out the website www.bosslevel.nz, or you can email me, ross@bosslevel.nz. Easy as that.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it, Ross. Bye for now.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.